Greetings everyone, my name is KG Prestige and welcome back to another video here on this channel. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to now have a discussion on the reveal of the latest Pokemon title dropping in 2025, titled Pokemon Legends Z-A, aka ZA, aka I don't really know what people are calling it, ZA. There's a bunch of titles for this name in particular, but the most exciting thing about it is that it is a brand new Pokemon game. We're not going to be getting it sometime this year, and we're going to have to wait until 2025, whichever date that would be. And that's going to be an exciting experience altogether, because right now, I'm going to be real with you, I feel like we are in an era of nostalgia, and we'll get into that momentarily because I have to go ahead and introduce the guest that I have with me tonight to go and talk about the latest information and all we know thus far for Pokemon Legends ZA. So let me go ahead and introduce my pal over here, Mr. Curl Blitz. Say hello, sir.
Hello.
It's good to have you for a discussion here, pal. I know you love to talk about theories and all that, so it only just felt appropriate to go and talk with the individual who has his own share of things, and I also have my own share of ideas, and let's see if we bump heads with that one. So, folks, sit back, relax, enjoy, and let's have ourselves a wonderful time with this announcement. And let us begin by just talking about the fact that the Pokemon Presents in and of itself was a pretty quick event. Once again, they just blazed right through almost a lot of information from what was revealed from Pokemon Go, Pokemon Horizons, Pokemon Masters EX, Pokemon Sleep with Legendary Pokemon, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with some of the new raid events that are happening. I think there's currently one ongoing right now with one of the Kanto starter Pokemon. And then, of course, the newly revealed Pokemon TCG Pocket, which that might be its own separate thing. And then leading off into the finale with Pokemon Legends ZA or ZA, or once again, I don't know how people call it.
I just want to say something. When it comes to the Pokemon Pocket, I feel like they're going to reveal more information about that in Worlds in August. I feel like it's appropriate if they reveal that.
That's like where they actually did reveal that one of the gimmicks of the trading card games was announced in one of the world events. So, yeah, it just seems tradition that Pokemon Worlds would be where the TCG game would be at its peak, especially because that is one of the core aspects of that, you know.
As for the other apps, I did like the transitions, like those spinning transitions. They were very smooth and very colorful. I really enjoyed those. When it comes to Pokemon Go, we got the Liko and Roy and Captain Pikachu. In the Japan version, they did show that Freed is also in an option for the photography. It's not just Liko and Roy. So if you want to take photos with Freed, you will have that chance.
Yeah. So there you go. It's just a lot of cool things that once again they just went by lickety split, and I am thankful for it. It wasn't like a 30-minute presentation.
I just want to say that Raikou got attention, and I'm like, what do you mean, guy? Like when Raikou got that sleep mini trailer, and I'm like, yes, Raikou finally got attention on his own. Suicune and they show up, and I'm like, what? Hey, let Raikou have something for himself.
He has that anime spinoff from like 2 decades ago. He'll be fine. All right, well, there you go, ladies and gents. In terms of the Pokemon Day in and of itself, like I said before, it was nice reveals left and right, but most importantly, it was quick, it was to the point, and it led us to the finale of it. With one more thing, that being of the reveal that we're not actually getting a brand new generation, or we're not getting a remake of a story. Rather, we're getting another Legends sequel, that being of Pokemon Legends ZA. And this in and of itself was exciting because I think my favorite thing when looking back at all the reactions I've seen online, everybody lost their shit when Pokemon Legends got revealed, like the logo itself. And then when the Z came out, everyone just popped off.
It was a second wave.
Yeah.
Like, this was not on a lot of people's radar, especially because if you go to see the order of remakes, Johto was going to be next, but people didn't count it Let's Go as one, even though Fire Red exists, and they were expecting Unova because all of the love that it had in the Blueberry Academy for the DLC. And in the back of my mind, I was like, this makes sense, because Kitakami and Blueberry they are not hints, they're fail-safes. Instead of trying to remake two generations that feel complete, Johto and Unova, they decided to, return to the generation that felt incomplete, which is Kalos. And given how generation 8 and 9, you had Great Britain and the Iberian Peninsula, Europe, it makes sense to, finish the Switch with Europe yet again.
Yeah, maybe finally we could go to that portion of Paldea that we still cannot access in this damn game. It actually brings us to the complete of Cal. No, I'm just kidding on that one. But, like, in all sincereness, it is true, though. It is such a funny thing to look back and just realize all these connections now after realizing, oh shit, we're not following orders no more. We're going at a different standpoint with the franchise. And also, this makes me very happy because now it's safe to say that the Pokemon Legends series is now another additional sub-series to the main franchise of the Pokemon games. We have Pokemon Legends, the original Pokemon,
We got 2 Legends games and 1 Let's Go. So Let's Go, for all we know, it's gone until they decide to go back to it.
I'm assuming Let's Go Johto is going to be a year 1 for the Switch 2, in all honesty. I'm just saying.
It would make sense. Like, the idea of Johto was always there because, at least to me, it made sense for Johto to show up in some way, shape, or form. Because if the Switch started with Kanto, they would like for the Switch to bookend with Johto because it also has Kanto. But given the time frame, they most likely want to use it for 2026 or something because it's the 30th anniversary. So let's have Johto here because no one is expecting that anymore. Everyone has their eyes on Unova for some reason. Hey, we want to celebrate with Johto, so here's Johto and Kanto for Kanto's 30 years. I kind of don't want that. I want for Johto to stay on their own. But that's besides the point.
Yeah. Oh, you know for a fact they're gonna find a way to attach Kanto into something within this.
Most likely.
Yeah. And also, one funny thing about all of this, we could finally stop calling this Pokemon Zyfraud because now it's no longer a damn fraud. It finally has its own story. And this is the most exciting part about it because a lot of people expected Z to be just the anime. That's where it's always been. So to finally see that we're now going out of our way to actually bring lore to a legendary Pokemon that deserved its own story that never got one, now in the form of a Legends title, this makes things a lot more interesting because instead of looking into the present, we're going to be looking more so into the origins of how all of this even really came to be and what made Zygarde be in that particular spot that we found it in X and Y. There has to be a lot of lore and reason behind why all of these 3 legendaries are the way they are in the present timeline. So this story is going to dabble into that. Whereas with Legends Arceus, it was more so Arceus just threw you back into the past and you go have fun. But this one, it goes deeper.
Given how this game they say, Nintendo of America said that this game takes entirely within Lumio City. Given how Legends Arceus was an isekai, I would not be surprised in the slightest if this game is something Persona-like, or, like Trails-like something that's set in a city. A lot of people were doing, jokes about Final Fantasy and Midgard.
Yeah, no, I love how people were bashing on the game. It's like, what do you mean we can't do anything in a city, catch Pokemon? Like, how the hell are we supposed to play a game entirely in the city? Man, this game is about to fail spectacularly. Now I'm gonna go back and play GTA 5. All right, thanks everybody. And I'm like,
Which is funny because GTA 5 and X and Y were released in the same year, and now GTA 6 and Z are going to be released on the same year as well.
I'm just gonna say, if they both had the balls to release on the same damn day, man, that is going to be one hell of a launch day. It's gonna be nuts.
I do believe that if we get a Switch 2, this game might release alongside the Switch 2, because Breath of the Wild was announced in 2014 for the Wii U, but then we got the Switch. It was released as a console seller for the Switch, but at the same time it released on the Wii U, so who's to say that Legend ZA, or Zeta as the Japanese are calling it, or Z2A, there's semantics to this, but that's besides the point. Who's to say that ZA isn't released on the day that the Switch 2 drops? But it's also, for the regular Switch. If you get the Switch 2, you just get, a better graphical experience.
which I think a lot of people would really love. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, because if we get something Nintendo related for the Switch 2, that might be when they reveal gameplay for this. It will not be on another Pokemon Presents, because if we have one, it will just be at Worlds or around Worlds. So we are going to have like a 6-month drought. It happened with BDSP and Arceus. We had a 6-month drought of no information whatsoever.
hmm
So we're going to get information in August because it's Worlds. Come
yeah.
on.
Now that's the thing, though. I don't really believe Nintendo is going to go out of their way to reveal information about this game because at the end of the day, this does belong to Game Freak and to the Pokemon Company. They kind of do their
Hmm.
own thing, but most of the time
Exactly.
they do work with Nintendo over particular things. So if they really want to go up the ante, maybe Nintendo and the Pokemon Company will talk
You
about like making this a launch title, which
you
a
you, you know
Pokemon
what
for a launch title is bizarre
you
and insane.
you know what's funny? They are going to reveal Zygarde stuff when the world it's in Hawaii. Zygarde got its forms in Alola, not in Kalos.
Man, you know what was the one thing that really gave my whole body jitters was when
Hmm.
somebody came up and revealed to me that you remember those little cell pieces that we had to collect in Alola? Yeah, we're gonna have to do that in the entire Lumio City world here.
The thing with Lumios is that we might have to, enter, like, it's not just like an X and Y. The cells might be on top of buildings, inside of buildings, in the underground catacombs.
In a
Like, if
trash can, man. I don't even know no
uh
more. No more leftovers. Instead, you got cell pieces. Damn it! You got to look
it
in
would
every
give
nook and
it,
cranny.
hey, it would incentivize people to look at trash cans again.
Hey, I'm just saying, if they really want to go nostalgic, let's go for that. But man,
Hmm.
for sure, I'm gonna hate that mechanic if they brought that back. Which, for certain, they're definitely gonna bring that back. I really do believe that finding all the Zygarde cells is going to be the 100% completion rate that the Legends Arceus game had with catching all Pokemon. Whereas, when you collect all 100 Zygarde pieces, that unlocks the second main story. Whereas,
I
like in
I
Legends
was
Arceus, it's like collect all the Pokemon and then you unlock the second main story.
you do collect 242 in Legends Arceus, and we got 210 on the regional dex of Platinum. Given how the Kalos Pokedex was 3 Pokedexes, it was Central, Coastal, and Mountain with 457. It's
Mm-hmm.
the biggest regional Pokedex. I would not be surprised if this Pokedex for just one city would reach 500 or 494, because that's Victini's number, and Victini, it's Unnovan, but it's a Statue of Liberty that the French built for the Americans, so there's like a connection there. Um, I I don't know how many Pokemon. As for the Zygarde cells, I feel like they could do that, or maybe they do the Pokemon too. So you have the double amount, to double the effort to get Zygarde, or at least the second part of the story, and they do the Zygarde cells the treatment that they did with the Spiritomb Will-O-Wisps,
Yeah.
because you also had that side quest. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want for them to harpen on anime and manga to try to fill the gaps or try to masquerade the story for this game. I want for Zygarde in this game to be completely different, because Zygarde in the games, it has power construct because of the cube. Zygarde had Aura Break because it was to negate Fairy Aura and Dark Aura of Xerneas and Yveltal. So if this game has abilities that Legends didn't have, I feel like it needs to, because there are 2 Pokemon who have an ability that the Mega helps. It's Salamence and Pinsir. If they don't have abilities, if they don't have Megas, the abilities will not work because it makes normal moves into flying moves. So Hyper Beam, Giga Impact, Guillotine will not get stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a lot of megas that Hoopa is going to bring. Mewtwo, Aerodactyl, Latios, Rayquaza. I'm kind of surprised it wasn't a Volcanion game, given how Arceus is a mythical. I was fully prepared to have a Volcanion related game.
Maybe in the Kalos remake, we'll finally get to see the Volcanion side story that we were supposed to get.
Yep, yeah, because now we have Lumio City,
Mm-hmm.
and the route before, Route 13, it was the Lumio's Badlands with the power plant. So I was expecting something around those lines. But who's to say that after we complete the game, we get access to other points of Kalos. They are not just the region in entirety, but it's like little pocket biomes, like how we had the Ultra Worlds in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
Yeah, and those would like lead to little side stories that would help you
Mm-hmm.
complete your Pokedex, you know, because like all the
Yeah.
Pokedexes won't be all available in just Lumio City. Because if you're going to go with the theory of almost 500, I highly doubt they can cram 500 in a city, let alone what the hell is a legendary flying bird doing in the middle of flying around Lumio City, you know? You can't really
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, I'm fully prepared to believe that the plazas are going to have like these little domes because we have the catacombs of Paris. They might do some underground wild Pokemon because they have been exploring the underground for a while. We got the hideaways in BDSP, we got the raid dens in Sword and Shield, we got the terrarium in the DLC, and Area Zero itself, it's in the underground. So we are going to get Pokemon in the underground. But given how the Z-axis is three-dimensional, I don't want to go just below, I want to go above. I want to find Pokemon while soaring and having sky battles again.
That would be an
Which,
interesting way to reintroduce that mechanic since that's where it originated from to begin with.
now let's see if they have, triple battles and rotations. I don't know if the Switch is able to handle it, but even the 3DS was not even able to handle it.
I think that's why they're
Um,
saving Black and White from coming out on the Switch, to be honest.
Exactly, like they want to, yeah, because like if this game has PvP, I don't think if this game has PvP, unlike the other Legends, it's going to be confined with itself. They want to have terrestrialization as the mechanic for Gen 9, so I really hope VGC stays in Scarlet and Violet, because what this means is that Megas might return for the Gen 10 meta.
That depends, though. We'll see what happens. So just to let people know as well, in terms of what we got for ratings on the genre for Legends EA, it actually got the same rating as Pokemon Legends Arceus, which was classified as an action RPG. So this really does feel like it's going to be more returning to the form of single player kind of experience, which, to be quite honest, I wouldn't mind. I do love when I can get an opportunity to explore things on my own and let that be my story, and then have just the mainline Pokemon titles be where all the competitive and all the mainline shit is all at. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
if you want to give me a phenomenal story, let Legends be the one to take care of that. And if you want to maintain a good quality story with good, amazing multiplayer aspects, let that be the main lines as well. So that's what I would like to see, especially because Legends as a whole and as a concept is such a wonderful idea just because it gives those who are such huge fanatics of history and lore and similarities and trying to find familiarities with the real context and the game context and see to merge them together. These are the titles that help out with that, you know? And you talking about like how it connects with like Victini's Pokedex entry to all this. It's stuff like that that you really can't get too much out of a mainline Pokemon game, but with a Legends title, that in and of itself is accepted. So
It's also the style of gameplay. I'm not saying that strong and agile style will return because that's very Hisuian coded,
mhm.
but there might be something else in terms of how you maneuver around your turns.
Yeah, so I think that's where we should go ahead and begin our storyline for this one. We're gonna go ahead and with this list I have right over here. We're gonna go ahead and try to go in order to see how, in particular, these titles are going to handle the Pokemon, the world, the lore, and the gameplay. So let's go ahead and start talking about the Pokemon real quick, and most importantly, the starter Pokemon of this generation. So,
Mm-hmm.
just like in the previous Legends games, we had three new starter Pokemon, but they were all based from different regions: Cyndaquil, Oshawott, and Rowlet. Originated from
Yes.
Johto, from Unova, and from Alola. So, it's kind of safe to say that this generation is also going to probably get three different starter Pokemons from three different regions and slap them
Yes.
into this one. The real question, though, is which ones. And a lot of people have made some very interesting debates as to what the starter Pokemon could be. But I wanted to hear from you first before we get into that. What you think the
So,
three starters would be.
given how we got the Kalos starters in the original X and Y, we
Mm-hmm.
got the Kalos starters, but it was in Aquacord after we left Vanaville town. we got the Kanto starters options in Lumios. So the Sycamore Lab is in Lumios. So and the end of the game, it's also the parade. It's also there. Um, so I would not be surprised if we get a Legends set of starters, but because Kanto and Hoenn already had Megas, I'm going to exclude them from this. And I feel like we are going to get two sets of starters: the Legends set and then a Kalos set. And the Kalos set are going to be able to Mega Evolve. Given how Battle Bond was retooled to basically give a stat boost, I would not be surprised if the Kalos starters get Megas and they all get Battle Bond as the ability. Now, what does this mean for Ash Greninja? Probably something like a Blood Moon Ursaluna if they really want to,
Oh,
make it, or just make a gift Pokemon. Just
so
give
I
Ash Greninja something that's not Battle Bond or something else.
that now see that's what I was going to bring up with those because in my opinion I agree with your route. I honestly believe we're gonna get all the starters in this game. I genuinely
Mhm.
believe all the starters are supposed to appear in this game from Generation 1 through Generation 8. Generation 9 is not included in this
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah, they
And the
are not.
reason,
They are going. They are not going to be there.
especially if we need to fill up the Pokedex with a bunch of Pokemon anyway, we kind of could
Hmm.
use the starters to easily help on that. But the three main starters for this title is going to be completely different. I know a lot of people were saying Snivy, Piplup,
Yes,
and Scorbunny actually as the three
yes.
main core because
There
Empoleon, I mean, the name in and of itself,
and the height, and the
like,
height, and the Japanese name, because it's Impert Bonaparte.
so there's that. You got Superior, which is also an
Hmm.
interesting one. Do you know
Yes.
why a lot of people are saying that though?
It's because the Unova starters, because they were in America, they had inspirations from royalty of other countries. Samurott Japan, Embor China, and Superior was in France because you have the fleur de lis, right, the Lysander flower,
Mm-hmm.
and because you see a lot of Unova related stuff in the Parfum Palace, and
Yes.
you have Superior in the gates. Superior are in the gates of the Parfum Palace. So there's that.
Ah, interesting to keep in mind then.
Hmm.
And then
Exactly.
last but not least, and this is my favorite one, Score Bunny. Reason football. That's it.
Oh, that's your reason. Wait a minute. I'm gonna give you something. So here's the thing. There are several options for this, right? So
Mhm.
I because the gen I was looking at a pattern, but pattern's only three times. This is the second time, so it's just a coincidence, right? So
Mhm.
the legend starters for Sinnoh, Hisui, they are from regions that Cynthia visited. Johto, Heart Gold Soul Silver, Black Unova, Undella Town in Black and White, and Alola because of the battle tree, right?
Yes.
So given how the post game of X and Y has Looker with the Looker Bureau, I was looking at regions that Looker went to. Sinnoh, where he debuted, Empoleon. He went to Unova because of the Sages of Team Plasma, so there's your superior. And then he went to Hoenn, but only in Auras. And I'm going to discard Torchic here. I was considering Torchic because we got raids for Flying Blaziken and Ice Empoleon. And then Cyrano, the guy with the Honedge scar from Blueberry Academy, he got the Rock Superior as his ace. And I thought it was fitting of having Gens 3, 4, and 5 in the Gen 6 retelling, but since Rowlet was in one game and now Piplup can be in the other bird starter, leave it for Legend Zarude or something, I don't know. Scorbunny makes sense because of football and because Napoleon himself was attacked by wild rabbits at one point.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. That shit
Mhm.
is amazing. That
Yes.
story.
and
Um.
inspired what's that comedy skit that the British have, Monty Python. Yeah, they got the wild
Oh my
rabbit.
god.
Exactly. No, but I'm okay with it because that way we get a bird that's Piplup, we
Mm-hmm.
get a reptile that's Snivy, and we get a mammal that's Scorbunny, and it makes sense because Rowlet was Gen 7 and Hisui was Gen 8. So now having a Galar that's Gen 8 in a Gen 9 game, and since Galar is right after, it makes sense. I don't know what type they could give him. They could give him a lot of types. They can give him fighting. No, fairy, electric, ground. They can give a lot of types to Cinderace. I think the funniest part it's one thing you like, KG. What
What?
was Scorbunny's French name?
Oh shit! Well, oh my god, I forgot. I know which one you're referring to. I forgot it.
Flambino, Flambino.
Flamblino.
If we get Scarbunny, you need to choose Scarbunny and call him Flambino.
Oh man, it's gonna be perfect, man. I'm gonna love it. Ah shit. But it just makes me excited now once again to think about the
Mm-hmm.
typings. And personally, in my opinion, I think what's gonna happen is that these starters are going to get the typings that were attached to the original starters of the Kalos region, which I
Hmm.
believe what was it? The water one got dark. The grass got, was it ground?
Fighting,
Oh,
fighting, fighting.
wait,
Yeah.
Chestnut was fighting?
Yes. Even though he should have been Steel and Delphox should have been Fairy, not Psychic.
So
Here's the thing. I really hope that the Megas, because here's the thing. Quilladin, Braixen, and Frogadier, they get new types when they fully evolve. If they Mega, if they mega to a new type, then what's the point of the type that they got to begin with? It really doesn't make sense. Like,
hmm
even though I would have loved a steel, I would like even the Terror raids. We got like a rock chestnut, a fairy Delphox, and a poison Greninja. Um, just give them stab. Like, make what they did with the Holucha. Holucha had flying press. It had a move that had two stabs. Give
hmm
them moves that have give them new signature moves. Like, give Chestnut a move that causes fighting and steel stab, Delphox psychic and fairy stab, and for Greninja like dark and ice or poison or whatever other type you want to give Greninja.
Yeah,
It,
but that all depends if they really go with that route. Now, in my opinion, I
mm-hmm,
don't think they're gonna do that.
yeah.
I don't think they're gonna give Mega to the Kalos starters. I think they're gonna be
Mm,
there, but I think they're gonna be one of the rare instances where I feel like the anime might have influenced a little bit. Now, this is a stretch. This is a really big stretch, but at the same time, I kind of still would love to see how they would tackle the concept of Ash Greninja, only
mm,
because they actually did bring this back up in Scarlet and Violet as one of the drawings of the past, in
mm-hmm.
one of the people's
Oh,
houses.
that yeah, in the Mona's house. That could be it. Instead of because instead of having strong and agile style, Battle Bond becomes the side mechanic to influence turns.
Yeah, and depending on how strong a bond is, it activates that transformation to thus giving them those designs that we see in the game. However,
In
I do
mm,
believe that that battle bond mechanic is only going to apply to specific Pokemon. Not everyone's going to
mm.
get that mechanic of
No,
evolution.
but that makes sense because Palafin himself, Palafin Zero to Hero, it makes him change forms, and
hmm
when Palafin changes forms, he does get the stats of a Mega.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. I think only particular Pokemon are going to gain that ability. It's not
Mm,
going to be every single Pokemon that's introduced in this. Like everybody's gonna get the Battle Bond mechanic. Like everybody will
mm.
get the increased boost depending on how the battle's going. But certain Pokemon are going to get an upgrade beyond that. Thus, the transformations of the Battle Bonds are going to be implemented into that. So it's going to
I
be
was
like
looking at
Battle Bond
I was
exclusivities.
Yeah, I was looking at other options for starters. These are the ones that will not happen. If they do, it's weird. Grookey, Tepig, Poplio. It's weird because Tepig is not sound-based. Fuecoco is, while Grookey and Poplio are. The other ones, it would be Chikorita, Litten, and Sobble. I don't know why I put this here. I think it's just like odd choices just to curveball us and they will do like something for explanation. Sobble would make sense because Inteleon like being like a thief, not a thief, like a spy, and then they could like something Phantom Thief related.
Mm-hmm.
Litten, Litten and Tepig, I just put it here because I would like to see how they would redesign an Ambor to be in four legs, to be like part ground or part steel,
Like it's an
and given
actual
how
boar.
exactly, and how would an Incineroar would look at all fours? Because Incineroar is very loved and competitive. If they gave him more love, at this point he would just become a new Charizard. And
Cough
Charizard,
Mega.
oh my god! But that's the thing. Like in the raids that we got, now for the starters of Kanto and Scarlet and Violet, we got Dragon Charizard again, but we got Ground Venusaur and Steel Blastoise. Do you think they're going to get X version of Megas? And the other ones will be rectified to be the Y variants because they are more natural. How would you feel about a Ground Venusaur and a Steel Blastoise?
If they bring that mechanic back, I think that would be pretty cool. But like, if they only keep it within the world of Legends ZA, because it's going to be difficult, and this is going to be one of the biggest aspects that I think a lot of people have not been really putting too much attention to. Legends is mainly a single player based experience.
Exactly.
Now it does have multiplayer aspects in terms of just trading, but like outside of that, that's really it. No competitive stuff, none of that.
Yeah.
With that said, that means that Mega Evolutions are expected to come back in a single player experience. I genuinely don't think it's going to come back into the main multiplayer game. I really do believe they're going to keep the mechanics anew, and every single mechanic for the past is going to be brought back through the single player storylines. But all the new mechanics are going to be the multiplayer aspects.
That would scratch both itches. Like if people want to see an old mechanic play in a new way that's not competitive bound.
Yeah.
I would like that. It would be very cool.
Exactly. And I think could also apply to a lot of the lore as to how a lot of these things even form to be what they are in the present timeline. Like, for example, obviously the lore of Z-moves would be really cool to explore, and Dynamaxing as well, but as mentioned before, those are its own separate string of worms. We could get into a discussion on that at a later point.
Exactly. If they did something Z-move related, they would probably have to create a fifth Tapu, and they would have to make like a Legends Marshadow or something around the lines. Speaking of Tapus, because I always saw Magearna as an artificial honorary Tapu for the Aether Foundation, do you think, because everyone is talking about AZ's Floette, and I understand, do you think we are going to get the original color Magearna in this game?
That depends on when this game takes place. Because it has to kind of go alongside with the timing of when that Pokemon was first created, correct? Which I forgot.
It was 500 before Alola, and it was created in Alola, but, you know, its friends, they might do... Because the creation of the Eiffel Tower was for a World Expo, so we might get, you know, a lot of people from all over the world, and that's why the games is just in one city, because instead of exploring the world, the world is coming to explore where you are.
Yeah. And like, I guess this also could apply to the mechanics of the game. Depending on how far you progress the city with the development, new side quests will open up, and that will probably open up a quest to unlock Magearna as one of the unlockable Pokemons you could obtain in that game, you know?
Yeah.
Because getting the fully colored Magearna is not exactly easy. I think you have to complete something in Pokemon Home in order for you to obtain that. I forgot if that was that.
I didn't know it was even obtainable at home. I was expecting to be released in Go, realistically. So
I'm gonna take a look at that real quick just to make sure.
Yeah. So from what I'm seeing here, so we do. Let me see what I have in my notes. The Lumiose Museum, they had portraits of the Sinnoh Battle Frontier, the Ecruteak City, and Castelia City, because it makes sense. It was the Nintendo DS games. They want to have like connection with the 3DS. As for the NPCs, I would like to see an Officer Jenny kind of NPC with a Manectric, because it's the City of Light. I think it would make a lot of sense if they did that. Now, for other characters, we got a train station in Lumiose that leads to Kilode. I don't expect South Kalos, but I kinda have to wonder if they are going to put Emmet in this Legends, since Ingo was in the other one.
That would be kind of messed up. Now, yeah, okay, let's get into that topic, because this is probably another very important thing to discuss. So we learned that Pokemon Legends, the way it worked was that Arceus decided to say, yo, I feel bored, let me just drag this kid and bring him back to the past. And that's how the story of Legends Arceus plays out. would Arceus really go out of his way to go to another region and mess up another
No,
kid's life and drag their
no,
asses back to the past as well? Which
no.
I personally don't think will happen. Although, I'm not gonna lie, that would be funny as shit to see Arceus do the same thing again. And then at the end of the game, the whole A that you see there is actually Arceus yet again just fiddling around right there from ZA.
It's the Arceus from the Hoopa movie. He's just showing up and leaves.
Yeah, and you just be like, wow, well, that was pointless. But no, in all sincerity, I really do believe that the protagonist in this story is actually one that was born in that
Same.
timeline. I don't really think we're going to pull another time travel story, although, as much as I would love that, because I really don't see a Pokemon that could really fit that category. And the ones that are from the X, Y, and Z games, they don't really have anything that kind of fiddles with time
Not
travel.
not to mention that if they used Hoopa for this, it's kind of weird because Hoopa it's about dimensions, not time. Which granted they could do something around that too. But I want for Hoopa to do his shenanigans in Master ZX. We need to play as a character from this particular time because, hey, at least we can do our story because, we are part of it. As for the A in the title, glad that
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned that because Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde, they are called the Aura Trio. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do something Aura related,
Mm-hmm.
but the A legendary, I feel like we're going to get another legendary here because we got Enamorous in Arceus. Now, I would love to see a fifth Musketeer, but that's besides the point. When it comes to this A letter legendary, Xerneas and Yveltal were about life and death, destruction for
Mm-hmm.
the international. Zygarde was about order, so I was always expecting a chaos. And what's a word that starts with A that relates to chaos? Anarchy. Why was Paris rebuilt in real life? French Revolution and Napoleonic Wars. So,
And I just want to clarify this for people who are watching the video. You'd be thinking that we would be reaching for a lot of these things. But when you really look back at like what Kalos has been built upon and see how many
mm-hmm.
similarities it has to real world events, some of the stuff that we're talking about isn't as far fetched as one would think. Hell, it wouldn't be that much of a reach that we would see fusion mechanics in this game as well, because there are also two legendary Pokemon that make an appearance in X and Y as statues. And actually, lore wise, it's very interesting about it because Unova might have a bit of an attachment to Kalos.
Yes.
If you recall, for some reason, the Pokemon Twitter account just tweeted these gifs of Reshiram and Zekrom flying to who knows where. And a lot of
Hmm.
people took that as speculation, as, oh, we're going to Unova with this one, right? Um, but one of the coolest things to think about is that they're in the place. I believe it's the same spot where you see the superior statues, correct?
Yeah.
Uh,
Arfum Palace.
yeah,
Yes.
in the back where you see their field, you'll see a Reshiram there, and you will see a Zekrom statue as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the NPCs in there would talk about how these Pokemon have a bit of significance to a bit of the land in Kalos.
They also
Those.
explain that in Master ZX, like Sycamore himself in Master ZX, he explains that he would like to know how these Pokemon from Unova are perceived in Kalos, which is something that Pokemon never really does. It's how do the other regions perceive legendaries that are not native to them? It's like trying to revere a god from another religion.
Mm-hmm.
Not going into semantics here, but that would be something cool to explore. Like, and honestly, that's what I wanted from other games. Like, imagine that we got, for example, a Legends Lugia, but it was in Kanto. How do the Cantonians see Lugia, right?
Yeah, and how would nobody remember it?
Exactly.
So no,
And
it's just stuff like this that really does make you think that going back to looking at Kalos and seeing all of the lore that they've been leaving, and by leaving I mean like damn breadcrumbs here left and right. It
yes.
really does make you think how far of a stretch we're going to take the lore for Legends ZA.
N-
So yeah.
Now, when it comes to the calendar, and I know Pokemon itself doesn't have a real world calendar. They just take bits and pieces from our real world. and they implement it in an anachronistic way. Like, for example, Parfum Palace, it's based on the Palace of Versailles. It's 300 years old because Carlos had a lot of wars. It had a civil war, which was AZ's, it was 3 millennia, and then they have a war with neighboring regions, which was 3 centuries. This doesn't mean that this does not mean that the game will take place 3 centuries prior X and Y, because it would mean that it will also take place a century and a half before Hisui. Now, one thing that we need to mention, it's the restoration of Paris, and I have this pointed out here. So the restoration of Paris after the French Revolution, it took place from 1853 to 1870. It was halted, but it continued until 1927. So it was like 17 to 75 years. The funny thing about this is that the Ecrutic Towers burning, the Fire of Edo, it was 1849. 20 years after, it was Ezu becoming Hokkaido and the colonization of the Haidu people, so that was 1869. 20 years later, it was when the Eiffel Tower was fully built for the World Expo, that would be 1889. I feel like this game, if it's set in the past, which we don't know yet, it might be at the very late of the 19th century, and given how X and Y had a lot of Kantoisms to it, I would not be surprised if this game takes place in what's the Pokemon World Calendar. It would take place in 1896, which would be a century before Red and Green. Like, if this takes place in the past, it would be something around like 100 years before Kanto, which I think it would be very fitting.
Actually,
as for the
go on. Go on.
I was just going to say, the names of the characters, don't use Xavier and Yvonne. Like, Callum and Serena are good names, but like Xavier and Yvonne.
Hey, if you want to keep X and Y attachments to it, there you go, right?
Exactly. And then, here's the other thing. In Auras, when you get the shiny Beldum, Steven mentions a trainer with a black Charizard, but that happens again in Master ZX. And I'm here thinking, if this game is not in the past, does it mean we're going to get a Halan NPC on this?
That would be one hell of a stretch, but to be fair, if they do the whole Ash Greninja thing here, maybe not really. You never know.
No, dude, can you imagine if it's in the past? Halan's ancestor is the Volo.
That would be one. That would be like a good nod to the anime fans who actually stuck through the X and Y series with that one. But for everybody else, they'll be like, "Who the hell is this kid?" But yeah, we'll see though. This is the cool thing because we know that a lot of characters who are going to be ancestors of the present timeline characters that we know of, it's going to be huge roles in this one. Like, obviously, Sycamore's ancestor has to play a role in this. Dianthus' ancestor, hell, maybe Sander's ancestor. You know,
I really hope that they continue to gender bend the ancestors, like male Diantha, female Sycamore. Maybe for Lysander, because Lysander is the descendant of AZ's brother. Who knows? Maybe the Faller is not Emmet. It's actually AZ's brother. We get to see the brother. He gets to get a name. Maybe his name is actually ZA.
That would be one hell of a twist.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with that for a lot of these characters. Obviously, I don't know if they're also going to reach to that extent of like the rival characters from X and Y making major roles in this one. I don't think that's going to happen personally.
I don't think so, because I feel like they rectified the X and Y trio with the Paldea trio, and even Cine and Dexio, who were the assistants for Sycamore. They kind of did that too with Carmine and Kieran, because they are the assistants for Briar. I feel like they kind of, like, they didn't fix the problems with regular X and Y, but they amplify it with Scarlet and Violet. Which is kind of funny, because X and Y, the first gym leader was Bug, and the last was Eyes. If you do the gyms in Paldea by level order, it's the same. It goes from Katie to Grusha. Instead of from Viola to, Wolfric. And we had restorations of cities too. I mean, look at Mauville from Omega Ruby. That was completely revamped. It looks like a mall and an airport.
A very bad one at that. I didn't really like that one in Auras. I'm gonna be real with you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But let me see here. What else is there to talk about? Because at the end of the day, like you said, with the characters, I think we're gonna keep that to a minimal, just because.
Oh,
Well,
most
there
definitely.
is not. Go on.
We don't have much to go with.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't even add gameplay.
No, the only thing we got was just a footage of render stuff, which does reveal that a lot of Kalos Pokemon are going to be in this game. Which to be fair, let's be real, there's not really a lot. So
Yeah, we have 72. So if we get Legends Arceus gave us Legends Arceus gave us 7 more.
mhm.
So if this one gives us 8 more, it means that the regional dex goes to 80. But I guess what they were trying to do was we got 72 originals and 28 megas. Combine them together, it's 100. They were trying to cheat in a way.
Yeah.
Um, they do a lot of cheating here because, like, for example, everyone was expecting Johto because of the unknown, and then I realized, oh, this makes sense. Unknown are the letter Pokemon. They're revealing the letter titled games. That's clever. Even before they go, they spell the words "cu" in an anagram because the Zygarde cells are always watching.
Mhm.
But if you read that backwards, it says the word Eos. Eos, it's Greek for bountiful, but if you literally translate that word, it means fruitful earth, with fruitful being the Naranja and Uven academies and earth being Zygarde's ground type. So they threw us off with the unknown. They really did. I really like it.
Yeah, if that was what they were going for, goddamn, they really big brained it all. But
Now the ones who are redeveloping the city, they are called Quasar. We see a logo with a Quasar, and I'm like, Quasar is space. Flare,
mhm,
we got the solar flare, so it also related to space.
yeah.
The one thing I was thinking was that since this is a redevelopment, it could, if let's imagine that this redevelopment takes place in the future, there is one possibility, which is Rainbow Rocket. As we know, Rainbow Rocket, it's built, not built, but whatever, you know the word.
Mhm.
They are made of villains who succeeded in their time. We got the Lysander there, so there is a timeline, or maybe several, because depending on the version he gets Xerneas on Yveltal,
Yeah.
there are timelines where he succeeded. So, what happens if this Legends, it's after he succeeded in launching the ultimate weapon, and the world of Kalos, it's confined into one place, and it actually takes place eons in the future, but the technology is the same because progression was stalled. Think about the Void Sentry from One Piece. Like you have like the Kalos we know, it's the Void Sentry for Legends.
But that's also really cool because it's under the implication that yeah, this thing has already been built, but now we're trying to revamp it again to kind of give it the look that it deserves, or the look that either A, we know of it as in the X and Y games, or even further
Mm-hmm.
into the future. Now, this is where
Yes.
I really do believe time travel will actually play a bit of a role with your character. Because
Hmm.
I genuinely believe that what's going to happen is that your character is going to get sent to a past moment in the timeline that has the entirety of the Lumio City area in their natural biome settings, where this is how you catch Pokemon and all that. And
Hmm.
somehow the actions that you do in the past, when you come back to the present timeline, will push now the events of the redevelopment moving
Ah,
forward.
so you want for this to be Chrono Trigger?
Essentially, yeah, because at this point, you know what I really do believe is going to happen? I do believe that if this is the timeline that Lysander legitimately won, what would happen
Hmm.
if the weapon that he had launched created a split where we have
Yeah.
two
Yeah,
different
because
eras?
because AZ's also caused the split. That's right. It
Exactly.
re-
So I really do believe that there might be a split where now your character is not necessarily time traveling, but rather hopping from one dimension to another, and somehow this is coexisting with each other, and you're trying to reform it back into one generation, or to bring
that
it
no
back to
that no
once
that
was.
that 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 would make a lot of sense because the X and Y legendaries, they are based on creatures from Yggdrasil, but there's one notorious creature that's missing, which is a squirrel. Everyone was thinking about the idea of a squirrel being a new Zygarde form. I would not be against the idea of this squirrel being like the A legendary, which is kind of fitting because Pachirisu won the VGC in 2014.
Yeah, I was about to say, is this based off that stupid chestnut squirrel? Like, honestly, that would be a huge win for that man.
Given how Pommy got evolutions, I would not be against of the other rodents getting something because we got Pichu pre-evolution, fine. Puzzle and Minun are a set, fine. Imagine we got like a regional fake of Pachirisu, and that's the actual legendary. It's just called Achirisu. It doesn't have the P in it.
Like, and then somehow, because of all the time that's been playing out, you know, it reforms to the Pachirisu we know of today.
It like, because we have a lot of like the rodents could have a big role, because think about this, like Clement in the games, he uses Emolga, that could be a mega. Deidane could finally evolve. Togedemaru could get a variant because Morpeko got forms, right? That's the thing, we need to consider generations 7 and 8 in this game. Like, maybe they might get like Alolan Galarmons might get megas.
Yeah,
in this,
which we never really got much of in the other games, and finally, Kalos Mons could finally get some love for their own damn megas too. So, it's an interesting concept to think about because once again, it's just open to whatever it could be. I really don't believe. You know what I really do believe? I don't think they're gonna get evolutions. I think the rodents are going to get megas. I really do believe that's what's gonna happen. Mega rodents.
You know, I'm going to say this. With the amount of Raichus in Area Zero, I'm very disappointed we don't got a Paradox Raichu that looked like Gorochu.
That was a missed potential right there.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean, right?
Exactly, like do Mega Raichu and make it look like Gorochu. As for the Megas, I was seeing the Megas of characters from the regular X and Y. As for Kalos Mons, it's difficult because they have a lot of forms like Burfru, Vivillon, Pyroar, etc. It's Meowstic. So I was looking at the other Mons from gym leaders and stuff, and I got 42 of gym leaders, Elite Four, all of that. I'm not gonna say all of the 42, but there are some that I think would be very fitting of having megas. Like for example, Mightyena, because we got Obstagoon, right, for a regional evolution. Victory Bell, because Gloom got 2, so Wimpy Bell, at least give him a mega to compensate or something. Slow King, because we got Slowbro. Regular Mr. Mime, because the Galarian got an evolution. Masquerain would be fitting, because no way we're going to have like Mega Vivillon. There's 20 forms of those. Minchao would be cool. Druddigon like being an actual gargoyle from Notre Dame. Like, I would love Druddigon. And because we got Glalie and we got Hisuian Lilligant, I feel like Frostless and Whimsicott could have megas. There's a lot.
That reminds me of that fake Coral link that somebody made, where it's Mega Whimsicott and it's just this giant puff of ball. I wouldn't mind that one bit.
I feel like Frostless has the potential to have a mega because ain't no way they're going to make a mega Jinx in this day and age. Like, the other you can.
Although, to be fair, according to the data leaks, there was an idea for a Mega Jinx, so maybe this could be where they bring it back, if they go for that.
I would love Mega Jinx. I don't feel like the world is ready for Mega Jinx, so use aspects of that for Frostless or something. Heck, even with the anime, because Paul had Magmortar and Electivire, I feel like they want to give Paul a Jinx, but they opted for Frostless because, let's give him a mon from his region, right? It would be weird for Pikachu to battle a Jinx.
Now, I do want to mention one other Mega, and I guess this should be the Mega debates. What Mega Pokemon should we see in this game? There's one in particular, and that I'm going to say that they had 2 chances to do, actually 3 chances to do, and they never once fulfilled that at all. So this might finally be the chance where this Mega finally gets, or this Pokemon finally gets a Mega. It's time for some Flygon redemption, man. Mega Flygon deserves something, man. We've been
This
we've been given three chances for it to happen. It didn't happen. So come on, this gotta be
thi-
it now.
this is where I'm going to butt heads with you. I'm not saying that I disagree. However, I feel like Flygon as a mega evolution concept, it's like a Journeys episode. It has everything to go right and to go wrong. Because whatever we get, people are going to be happy and disappointed.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
like I would love Mega Flygon, don't get it twisted, like because it's not a pseudo, so it deserves a Mega.
Hmm.
Even Kingdra. I feel like Kingdra could also deserve a Mega. There's a lot of mons that, especially water types. There are a lot of water types from Kanto that never got anything.
I'm just saying,
Golduck,
Starmie, man, I wouldn't
like
mind.
because of the N-Star Sundial, and that's the
That's
thing.
what
The
I was gonna
Sundial,
bring up. Yeah, it literally matches with that. How cool would that be?
exactly. Starmie, Golduck, Seaking, the fossils, Dugong, that's a stellar type in the biome of Blueberry. We have a lot of stellar types. I was looking at the stellar types of the Indigo Disc, and we got Dugong, Hexerus, Noivern. Like, I don't know how. With Noivern, it's more like it already feels complete with only 2 stages. If anything, I feel like there was something in the middle that they got scrapped, because we know that from Bergmite to Evolug, there was meant to be a middle stage and it got scrapped. The problem with these Mega Evolution designs is that I would like for them to exist, but I feel like they're already complete. I don't want for them to get ruined, and that's my skepticism with Flygon. Now, if we got the Mega Walrein with the refrigeratability, man, that would be cool.
Hey, that would be the two Hoenns that would get the Mega then, right then and there.
Mhm.
Flygon and Walrein. Because those are two Pokemon that deserve to get the pseudo treatment, in my opinion.
Exactly.
So
And
I would love that.
I was looking at some ideas that I had for the DLC. So going back, we had the Chatelaines in Battle Maison, and
Hmm.
we have like this purple icon after we defeat 50 multi battles, but there's no purple Chatelaine. What if the Chatelaines get the matriarch and she's the ancestor of the other four, and her specialty is sky battles, and her name, because the names of the Shadowlands, they are from parts of the day, like day, night, evening, whatever, whatever. So
Dusk, yeah.
if yeah, so this one would be, have sky battles because you see the time via whatever is in the sky, right? I think that would be very cool.
Hmm.
As for mons that can get something else, so here's the thing. I would like for Charcadet to get a new evolution
Oh,
that's
so
fire
soon?
I think it'll be fitting because like Psychic and Ghost are under the Psychic umbrella in the TCG, and Fairy was its own thing, but now Fairy it's under Psychic. I would like to see like a Fire Fairy new form for Charcadet.
Mm.
I don't know how they would do it. As for other mons, man, it's time for Dragon Eevee. Just say that Sylveon caused their extinction.
That would be the funniest thing. So the Sylveon is the rabbits to the Napoleons for the Eevee Dragon. Right then and there. Where a bunch
Exactly.
of Sylveons just one day decide to come ahead and exterminate the entire species of an evolution line.
And I was thinking of other stuff. So imagine that this is in the future instead of the past.
Hmm.
Elite Four Corina. It would be cool. Tower Tycoon Clement. Don't make him a gym leader. Make him like a Battle Frontier Tower Tycoon. He has a tower already.
Hmm.
Champion Bonnie. Champion Bonnie, man.
That would be
Champion Bonnie.
now that's where Mega Dedenne gets revealed. See what I'm telling you?
Yo.
There you go.
Yo,
And it's
yo.
gonna be the muscular Dedenne from all the memes. I'm just saying, if it's not that, they've literally wasted their chance of a beautiful opportunity to have given us a buff rodent right then and there.
Exactly. So the last thing, the release date. This is the last thing I have here on my notes. It's the
Mhm.
release date. So we know that the fiscal year ends in March 31st. Pokemon Day, it's on February 27th.
Yes.
It would be unprecedented for them to basically, go silent for 1 year, and then they would reveal more stuff for the game to be released after. I feel like this will be a January title, and if we get a 3-year cycle or a 4-year cycle, depends if they release something in November of next year, that I do not know. From the dates that we got for other games, it was always on a Friday. So, I have January 31st, which is a Friday. It would make sense for this to be the time. However, 2 weeks after it's Valentine's Day, February 14th, Paris is the city of love.
That would be
Can you
one
imagine?
hell of a romance day.
Happy Valentine's. Here's Paris.
I know you wanted to go to Paris, but here you have Paris at home. Paris at home
Paris
is
at home. If they if they want to do this after the fiscal year ends, they would probably have to, drop something to satisfy fans for this year. And they can, we don't know what, but they can. Maybe they can do more DLC for Paldea. Who knows?
no.
Because
I have one idea though, and it's a
because let
terrible idea.
wait, because we got Let's Go and Ultra Sun Ultra Moon. They are November titles too. They
Mhm.
were revealed in May and June, so they can reveal like it would be weird to reveal a game for the next year and then they reveal the game for this year on this year. There are a lot of discussions of oh, they just revealed this because Power World gave them competition, and I'm like, I don't know if that's the case. I don't want to believe that because Power World didn't affect merch. As long as they don't affect merch, Pokemon doesn't see it as competition.
Yeah. Now, I really do believe that we still will get something. I do believe, in my opinion, that Legend ZA is not going to be released until summertime, in my opinion. Late summer
Oh,
at that. Um, and the reason
hmm,
why I say that is because we're still going to get a title this year, per
hmm.
se. And I imagine everybody is not probably going to be happy with it because you're going to see a cute little star in the black background bumping up, and then it hits the ground, and then the 4-letter word appears right in front of the screen,
Hmm,
ILCA, and
hmm.
thus revealing a remake of Pokemon Black and White is what's going to happen for this year.
So, so here's the thing: if they actually do it because of fan demand and because we are in the year of the dragon, I would not be against it because Black and White as is, it was complete. The story was complete with Black and White. Black and White 2 was a sequel, it just expanded the story. They
Mm-hmm.
had no need to. A lot of people were hoping that we got a Gray. So, what if this ILCA remake, maybe they learn from their mistakes, they do the game fine, whatever. The post game, it's what's different because the post game would need to, make an episode gray, like how we got an episode delta, right?
Yeah.
Make Kiram. No, actually scratch that. Let Kiram be on his chasm because Kiram is the remnant of the original dragon, which is another species,
Mm-hmm.
and that species came from a meteor and created a giant chasm. What if in this episode Grey, there is a meteor that lands in the Entrolink in the middle of the region that we can only access via Dreamworld, so a lot of people really didn't go there. You go there, and you have the original dragon in the Entrolink. And people would have to buy this game for one specific Pokemon. Like how they...
That would be great. Now,
No, don't call, like, if you are to call it remake, call it Pitch Black and Stark White. If you want to, if you want to make this a sequel to the events, and don't call it Black and White 3, nowadays it doesn't work, call it Ebony and Ivory.
now I was gonna say, they did give us two titles of it in
Hmm,
Kalos, well, which was
hmm.
Glistening and something else. I forgot what the other one was.
Oh, it was the bikes for the Isle of Armor in Galar. It was Glistening Black, Sparkling White. I don't like those names. I would like those names for Johto, like Sparkling Gold, Glistening Silver, SGGS.
Now the other one I was thinking of was in Kalos, actually, in the park where they have the Zekrom and Reshiram statues. If you communicate
Yes.
with them, they actually do give a title of it being in, shining in this color and shining in this color.
Hmm,
I would think that would be, because here's my theory. This might be probably one of the wildest theories, but it might connect to what you're saying though.
yes.
This is going to be probably one of the worst stretches I think I could have had in a Pokemon theory right now.
The
But
CGI long reach.
now this is some insane reach. But okay, let's go with that plan that we were talking about before. That Lysander split the whole dimension stuff, right? With the events
Hmm,
of what had happened, and he actually won.
hmm,
What
hmm.
if the black and white games were literally taking place as all of this was also happening? So when they were going away, they actually were going to Kalos, and this is where we start learning about like how those
Ah.
Pokemon play a pivotal role in creating that, the whole Unova and Kalos connection.
Oh, okay, I get it. So basically, what you want is we got black and white, 1 year gap in the timeline, black and white 2. So you want for the next game to be Unova related, but it shows what Hilbert, Hilda, and Anne were doing during that gap year of absence.
And that's how we learned the connections into ZA, because apparently, or at least
Hmm,
in my assumption anyway, I really do believe black and white influence is going to carry over
hmm.
into ZA, because of the
That
fact that there are a lot of connections to Unova in Kalos.
Yes. You know, that will make a lot of sense because we don't know where Hilbert, Hilda, and Anne went. We know that Anne returned. We know Hilbert and Hilda, well, the player, right? We know that the player was meant to return and be a boss battle in Nature Preserve.
Hmm.
That never happened. I was even expecting that they would be the faller for a Legends Victini or something around those lines. Like, can you imagine, instead of finding Emmet to be Ingo's counterpart, you find yourself, like how you do in Mount Silver, right? You find yourself, but it's a faller, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if you played as a Rosa ancestor, you find Hilbert and vice versa. That would be kind of cool because with the split of the timeline, if Lysander does it, because Lysander could do it again, and depending on the version, right? This is
Hmm.
something that they don't explain, but depending on the version, with Evoltol in Pokemon Y, with Evoltol he wanted to eradicate everybody except Team Flare. Like Mega Evolution, he believed that the world was only for a select few.
Hmm.
In Pokemon X, he wanted to give life only to Team Flare. So in Pokemon Y, it's implied that he died in the Rumble. In Pokemon X, it's implied that he became immortal and he's still alive while in the Rumble. But who in the Pokemon X timeline, this kind of means that Caleb, Serena, and Shauna are also immortal like AZ. So if if we get some shenanigans, that means that Lysander is not actually dead. He's just immortal while in the Rumble of the Ultimate Weapon. It would be very weird if that was to be the case, but I would,
Yeah.
I would welcome it nonetheless.
Now, this is why I said I love the Legends game, because as stupid as a lot of our predictions sound, there's legitimacy behind it, because the games legitimately gave us a reason to think this deep into it to begin with. It's just bonkers. It's insane, but it doesn't
I,
sound so far fetched no
the
more.
the the one thing I hope is that if this is set in the past, I don't want for the ancestors to look like the characters we know as a one-to-one. Like I don't like that Volo looks like a one-to-one of Cynthia. Like that, like genetics wise, that doesn't make sense. Now Leon, not looking like Clay, that makes a lot of sense. That for me it makes a lot of sense. So if they, I would like to see gender bent versions, but don't make it obvious. Like don't give Diantha a beard and say it was her male ancestor, right?
Hmm. Where it's
Like
like you could easily look at it and be like, yeah, that's the ancestor.
yeah, like and don't make the names kind of sound similar. If like because it doesn't mean that the ancestor has to be just of one person. I mean,
It could be the parents before they even gave birth to some
like
character.
in his suite Charm, she's the ancestor of both Agatha and Bertha. So do ancestor characters for several people, but that means that everyone kind of is related to each other. So that's a whole other can of worms.
Timeline
I
shenanigans, that's not my forte with that one.
Yeah, like mine either. Like the only character I would accept of this, it's again an ancestor of the Shadow Lanes, and that's because they are sisters.
Hmm.
So use aspects of Oliver 4 and make your own. For all we know, we can have an ancestor of Looker or or Looker himself. Like they can do. I really hope they do a lot of with Looker. Like he's based on Doctor Who, and he was not in BDSP, nor in Legends, nor even in actual Galar. And I'm like, the British guy is not in Great Britain. What the hell?
That you want to know why? Because he's the faller. He ends up going back in time instead of
Yeah.
in the black and white games. He literally is the one that falls in there.
Given how Arceus didn't give us a berry ancestor, but the plazas of Lumios are the colors of the Sinnoh frontier,
Hmm.
and I would not be surprised if we actually get a berry ancestor here, or Fantina because she speaks French. Like that's the one thing I would have loved. Like contests in Kalos using Terrastal. That would be amazing. Mechanic wise, it doesn't work for this game, but man, content in Kalos with terrestrialization. The moment I saw terrestrialization being revealed, and I'm like, this is so contest core, and we got no contests.
Well, I don't think we're gonna be seeing that though in this one. Let's be real.
Oh,
I think
oh
we're
no,
gonna
we're
be
not.
prioritizing megas in this. Now, I did
Yeah,
have one last thing I wanted to mention before we probably wrap things up for the discussion for tonight.
go for it.
And this is going to be another big stretch in regards to this. Um, and that's in regards to elements of fusion for the legendary Pokemon. One of the
Hmm,
coolest theories that I think a lot of people are predicting is that we're going to kind of get a concept similar to like the original Dragon from Black and White, but
hmm.
say we're actually going to see the Pokemon of Xerneas and Eevee as one creature before they split into two, which is supposed to be life and death. Now it's this one being, because of
That
the
make
events that had happened. Like, let's say if we're following with the AZ timeline with the split that happened, probably Xerneas and Eevee probably merged in between.
that makes a lot of sense. That explains why Megastones are letter coded for some, and it explains why Megastones are only version exclusives in some games.
Exactly. Like, why would they be in one timeline but not in another in the games anyway?
The one thing I was thinking was that if this was set in the future, Zygarde now has a purpose to leave Terminus Cave, because if their role is to balance life and death, by the player catching one of the Mons, it means that the balance is not like we save the world, but at the cost of catching the legendary, so the balance is not there. Your idea makes a lot more sense, and here's the thing: when Sun and Moon was revealed, and we got Chorus and Sun and Moon, I was expecting for Necrozma to be a Manticore, half fly and half bat. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. I
Mm-hmm.
now I dude, either that or they give part of Zygarde's types to the others. Give ground to Xerneas, make Oblivion Wing both dark and flying, because it's flying, not dark. Make Oblivion Wing now a dual type move, and make Evil Toll, that's a Wyvern, make Dark Dragon. So you get Fairy Ground and Dark Dragon. Like, if they do have forms, if it's Megas or Primals or whatever. Because I don't think Zygarde will get anything new. Arceus didn't, Dialga and Palkia did, so Xerneas and Yveltal will get something. If if Xerneas and Yveltal are actually the A legendary, so if I overlap an X and a Y, it makes an asterisk. But I like that idea. Now, holy damn, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, personally, I really do believe that's gonna happen. Like, I think, in my opinion, because of this whole time shenanigans, we know that X and Y aren't canonically in the same timeline. They're not like
Mm,
other games where it's like different characters. No, this is
yes.
legitimately different characters with different plot lines. No, same characters with different plot lines in
Mm,
different routes because of the events that take place in those set timelines. I believe X and Y is going to merge together, and they're going to create and form what we're getting in Z, which would explain how both mega evolutions of X and Y are now present in one game. Whereas since it's now a single title game, they have to find a valid reason for how these two are coinciding in one title. You can't
So,
have Mega Evolution X and
so
Y usually coincide in the same
ho-
thing.
ho- honestly, that really gives me hope that this is in the future. Because if we go by lore, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate weapon split the timeline. So in the timelines that Lysander succeeded and he won, and this redevelopment could be years later after he won, he might be dead or immortal or whatever, and we go back and we have both megas, it could be either another branching split or it could be the reunion of both.
Which would
Dude,
explain the roots on the A, because that could be
yeah,
the
because
different branch of the timelines.
dude, dude, and they are based on the Norse gods. This is Loki. This is Loki.
Now,
This is
now,
Loki, dude.
notice. Look at the A as well. Notice that they're both different branches right there, and they're meeting up
Yes.
at the top right then and there. I really do
Not to
believe that's gonna
not
happen.
not not to mention that the A itself, it's shaped like the ultimate weapon when it's closed,
Mhm.
right? So, and the A itself, it's not really an A. It looks like a lambda. That's the symbol for frequency. So it's only an A because of the leg of the Z. So if you take the Z, it looks like a lambda. If you put X and Y overlapping with each other,
Mm-hmm.
if I write the letter X, it already has the top of the Y. If I put the Y here, it makes a pentagram that would be the avenues and the boulevards of Lumios. It will be like a five. It will be like a peace sign. It looks like a pizza. No, but it may no, but no, because if I write X and then I put the leg for the Y, they all sectors look like that A shape, the lambda, but from different angles. Maybe that reflects on the different sides of the story. Like, do Xerneas and Eviltal together? How would that even look?
I really
Like
do
a
think it's
way.
probably gonna be green, like how we see it here.
Oh! It really has to be green. Like, how would that even look like? Because I will be honest with you, Xerneas to me feels more angelic and more godly than Arceus. Like,
Now
how
you're
would they?
creating a mutant thanks to this, though. Which could
No, but it
also
would make
tie
no.
into Black and White because that's where the fusion element was even introduced as well.
And then we got the fusion forms in Necrozma Gen after,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense because past and future. Unova it's in Kalos past,
Mm-hmm.
and Alola it's in Kalos future, and the events of Kalos, they do take place in around the same time as Black and White 2, but then Junichi Masuda deleted that tweet. So
Damn.
yeah, so they didn't want it to confine to a specific timeline. They didn't want to do the mistake that Zelda did. But dude, there will be Xerneas and Eviltal merged. You know what's funny? They both of them and Zygarde have the letter A in their names. So
Yeah.
Z
Xerneas, Evital, and Zygarde. They do all have A's on them.
Yeah, yeah. Ex-arrival.
Actually, they're the second to last ones on all of them, right? A, S, A, L, and then... No, wait, no, it doesn't do for
Yeah.
No,
No, but for Xerneas and Eviltal it is.
yeah, but not for Zygarde. Zygarde is A,
Not
D, E.
Yeah, but Zygarde, but they do say Xerneas and Eviltal, they like Pokemon were sacrificed to make life energy to fuel the weapon for Xerneas and Eviltal to fire it. So the explanation might be the sacrificed lives were the reason why only specific species can access this, because it resonates with the DNA, because the Mega Evolution symbol, it's the DNA symbol, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. The ultimate weapon not only split the timeline into Mega and non-Mega, it splits Xerneas and Eviltal into two beings. That would be the biggest curveball that they could do. Oh, you all want the original dragon? Screw that, here's a stag wyvern.
Oops. That's what I'm saying. I really do believe, once again, this is why I love Legends, because We don't
It would be
like we know about lore. This isn't just based off something we're predict. No, there is legitimacy behind this because
yeah
we've played a game for it already.
for everyone listening, we are not postulating stuff from our behind. We actually have.
There's
No,
a
but
game that we played. It's called X and Y. There's so many NPCs, so many dialogue sequences that legitimately tie everything.
And here's the thing: when you make the X and Y axis,
Mhm.
right? When you're doing, the quadrants and trigonometry and all of that mathematics stuff, X and Y, they go, from 2 dimensions, but they meet at one point, which is zero. It's coordinate 0, but it's not really a 0. It's an O of origin. So when you're doing a quadrant in mathematics, they do split vertical and horizontal, but they have the same origin point. So yeah, this origin point could be the A Pokemon that's Aura, it could be the A Pokemon that's Anarchy, it would be the Chaos. It's Chaos Control.
Well, it is time travel, so I mean, if this legitimately is going by that. But yeah, that's what I love. But my biggest gripe now is now that we kind of have these ideas in mind, how will that play with Lumio City? And that in and of itself is going to be the most exciting thing to think about as we get further into the year.
Exactly, because if it's just Lumio City and then maybe they do some pocket dimensions like how they did with Ultra Worlds, I don't know if they will do it. I think it would be cool if they did it as kind of like a daybreak event that we got in Hisui too. Mm-hmm. That would be because the ultimate weapon is in Geosenge, and the Anastar and the Sundial, it's in Anastar. So they are in coastal and mountain Kalos, not in central. So whatever the Quasar Corp or Incorporated or whatever, like the Quasar people, that's going to be like our galaxy or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Like maybe they are using RAM, if this is in the future or even in the past, because the ultimate weapon and the Sundial always existed, right? Maybe they are trying to redevelop Lumios by bringing the power of the West, that's the ultimate weapon, and the power of the East, that's the Anastar Sundial. And yeah, it intersects in an origin. Like Lumios will be,
at
the point of origin. Yeah, it will be the point of origin, all of that. And it's kind of funny because the ultimate weapon, it's game focus, and the Anastar Sundial, it's anime focus.
And there you go. So once again, this is just a huge speculation on both our ends. It's an interesting thing to think about, but not something to think it's all fake, because depending on how they take it, it could really get interesting. Especially because you got to remember, they also went out of their way to say this is their most ambitious.
Ambitious, exactly. How many megas do you think we're going to get? Because we got 28 and then we got 20 in auras. So we have 48. How many megas do you think we're going to get extra?
I really don't think we're going to get that many. I really do believe we're probably only going to get 22, I think, in this one.
To make it 70.
Exactly. Which is almost close to the amount of the dex entry of the Kalos thing, no?
It's 72, so they would make it 24.
Now, see, I'm saving the last 2 because that's going to be whatever the hell happens to Zygarde and Evital and Xerneas. And that's going to be those exclusive 2 right there at the end.
Dude, that plot twist. Instead of Mega Xerneas, Mega Yveltal, or maybe Primal Xerneas or Primal Yveltal, if they want to do the Kyogre and Groudon stuff, they do a Mega for the Xerneas Yveltal fusion.
So, like, we get the reveal of this form, and then the Mega that goes on top of that.
Exactly, because look at the gimmicks. Necrozma made Z moves, Eternatus made Dynamax, Terrapagos made Terrastall. Zygarde didn't make Megas. Zygarde can't Mega. Rayquaza can. So, dude, what would the type of this beast would even be?
And maybe it is terrestrial, where it's all typings, because it is based off the Earth,
It's stellar type.
Exactly.
It's stellar type. Actually, that was something that one of my friends was pointing out. Like, hey, since we got fairies And now, since we got fairies as a new type, and now they got stellar, do you think they're going to get like an only? Do you think we're going to get a new type specifically for Legends ZA? And I'm like, please let it be rubber. I want for everyone that says light, sound, and cosmic to be wrong. I want the rubber type. Give it to Leaky Leaky.
Oh man, but yeah, I really do believe we got something with that. Oh, what's up? What's up?
Oh, dude, one more thing.
Huh?
So, because we got Mega Caesar and then we got Cleavor, how cool would it be if the Cleavor from Horizons actually Mega evolves?
Like a Mega Cleaver?
Like, we get the Mega Cleavor, or, just like Blood Moon Ursaluna, we get the Blood Moon Cleavor, and the Entei that they are chasing, it's not even the Gouging Fire, it's really a robot Entei, like anime exclusive paradoxes.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting to see if they even tie all of that to the game anyway to begin with. So
That would be still Mega Cleavor.
I wouldn't mind that. I think that would be cool. But I really do believe it's still too new for it to get one. But at the same time, Scyther and Scizor, that's its own evolution in the Mega already. So
Mega Hydrapple, Bug Dragon.
Damn it. We can't get away from this damn apple. So
they would totally do it.
To be honest, I wouldn't mind. But I really do hope that they focus more on the generations prior to Paldea. We already had Paldea for 2 good years with the main game and with the DLC. Now let's cook something else with the other generations.
As for Galar, because we got regional variants after Kalos, so they might do variants for Kalos of mons that were not in the regional decks or were only in the France Safari, and that applies mainly for Alolan Galar mons. I would like to see a Kalosian Teevil. I feel like Teevil is very like Arsène Lupin, right? Imagine a Teevil that would look like that. If we got Megas for Alola mons, because we get Mega Evolution in Alola, in the post-game, what mon do you think it would be cool to have a Mega from Alola?
A Mega from Alola?
Yes.
I'm thinking off the top of my head. Oh, I have one. What's that fire turtle again?
Fortinator?
Yeah.
That would work because Beedrill got one, but Butterfree didn't. So getting one to Tortinator and leaving Drampa as is, the same would apply for Passimian and Oranguru, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to give a treatment to just both. They can just give it to one. Tortinator would be crazy. Honestly, speaking of Tortinator, because when Tortinator and Drampa were revealed, I thought they were evolutions of Torkoal and Dunsparce at first glance. Because they also start with, the same letter, they both get the Dragon type, they both were version exclusives. AZ has Torkoal, he has Sigilyph, and he has Golurk. And we see a Golurk in Parfum Palace. Mega Golem being Steel Ghost or something, it would be crazy. Yeah. As for Alola mons, I don't know. Toucannon? Toucannon, maybe?
A bird? A regional bird, though? Would they really do that for one of the regional birds?
We got Pidgeot.
True.
Do a fighting Staraptor, please.
He grows fists. They're like, oh,
yeah,
shit,
I'm seeing the Alola mons here, right? I'm discounting the totems because they got their treatment already. Palossand would be Gigantamax fitting. Bruxish. Oh, KG, I know exactly what Pokemon could get a Mega from Alola. Beware.
That would be the funniest reveal, and also I would be shitting my pants if I saw that thing running to me.
You're playing Legends ZA, and Mega Beware is just chasing you.
Actually, that's a cool mechanic, like because we do need to figure out like how Mega Evolutions would apply in the overworld. Like I really do believe like how similarly to in Legends Arceus, where like occasionally there are these spots where Pokemon from the future come in, like Porygon, and then we get very strong Pokemon from there, right? Like, that would be a cool mechanic where it's like, we still get those giant balls appear and then inside it, some of the Pokemon that are present in there are Pokemon that are forced evolved into like their Mega Evolutions. Because Mega Evolutions are normally applied to when a trainer
Trainers.
and Pokemon do it. But when you're inside these circles, they're forced Mega Evolved. And they go
So
rampant. And you're going to have to
so
fight them if you want to survive. Or you can, run
so
away.
you do you think honestly the idea of the noble equivalents just being wild megas and using the Alolan entries of they are in pain, they are in a frenzy or whatever because I'm fully prepared that the Mega Evolution is in this game is only 3 turns like Dynamax because if it's set in the past they can just say we haven't mastered this fully and we don't have Mega Rings that fully operate with this. If it's in the future they can say this is dangerous so we took precautions and made this artificially temporary or something around the
Mm-hmm.
lines. But we got something in the anime, the Mega Wave staff from Jarvis, right? He got like shadow megas, like 14 in a row, no less.
And that's
That, that,
depending if they go for that, though. That's a whole nother can of worms.
yeah, like that would be insane. Because we need to think about the like how will the Pokédex describe? Because we're going to get mega entries, so how will the Pokédex describe it?
Exactly. And that all depends on when the past or the future, or wherever that timeline is. But you know what is
Yeah,
exciting though? That we're not too far away from it because it is a title that is coming out next year and it is going to be one that we probably will do a follow up once we get more information for this. And per
yeah,
se, in my opinion, though, I already went clear through all of my notes now. This is also
same.
the same thing I had on my end. I wanted to throw that last one there, and I'm kind of glad it went above and beyond because I thought I was going crazy with this one.
No, 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 no. Quite the contrary. I'm flabbergasted now. Like,
I'm just saying this would be a really cool thing. I mean, the like if you look at the logo, it's so heavily green, and I mean obviously for Zygarde,
mm-hmm,
but given that the Z is supposed to represent Zygarde and the A is also green as well, like that, with roots on the
mm.
bottom, I really do believe that maybe there is something more than what meets the eye, and that's
KG, KG. I discover it. I think I know what it is. So there is this mythical hybrid animal that it's a mix of a stag and a bird. It's
mm-hmm,
called a periton. They exist. It's like a jackalope, like a horned rabbit,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's this. It's a stag and a bird. It's called a periton. You know what's funny? Peritons, they lived in Atlantis. Atlantis was the code name for Scarlet and Violet.
Was it? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Project Atlantis. It's the code name because it's about treasure. It's about stuff underground, and we got Blueberry that kind of looks like it. Like it's about treasure, right? And stuff that's lost to time.
Uh huh.
And and in ancient Macedonian calendar, Peritos was the name for the moon of January. So there's your moon dial. It's the A fusion Pokemon.
God damn.
There's it was right in front of us. We simply couldn't. Dude, this is insane. And they're green too in this artist's depiction.
I'm just saying to those who are listening to us, man, I swear to God, we're not going crazy. This is legitimate. This is how Pokemon is. If we're really going back to the old days with the Coral leaks and the predictions and the discussions, we gotta go even further beyond by having discussions
You
like these be just as
you
insane
you
too.
you guys need to remember one thing. This is the dude who spent 2 hours analyzing an opening, and he spent 9 hours discussing and more shipping.
I mean, to be fair, it was all worth.
That's
So
very valid.
yeah, so and I think this one is also another one to add to the books. But alas, I'm gonna have to call it a wrap, and because I do have to finish up some stuff soon. But I want to go ahead and thank Kuro here for joining me for this one as well. It was wonderful to hear your side of what you think prediction wise, lore wise, and all that, and see that maybe we're both not too far away from what we're thinking could be the case, especially for a Pokemon title like this, with once again being a game that is based off something that already exists. A lot of these predictions are
Hmm.
not as far fetched because we do have something to base it off of.
And the
And
best feeling, Kalos and Gen 6 will finally feel complete.
absolutely. Thank God for that. So, once again,
Mm-hmm.
ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and say thank you to our good friend over here, Kuroblitz. If you would like to let people know where they could find you, now would be the best time to do so.
They can find me on Kuroblitz on YouTube and Kuroblitz96 on Twitter.
And
That
all
is
that
all.
information will be provided in the description down below as well. So make sure to check that out. And thank you again for this. And let's see if there comes a part 2 for this whenever we get more information from a trailer. And maybe we'll come back and jump and see where our analysis actually lands. Is it correct? Is it so far out there? Or maybe they're hiding it from us until the main game releases. Who knows? But one thing's for certain, it's going to still be a fun ride regardless. So we would love to hear you guys in the comment section down below. Just go as bonkers as we have been for the past hour and a half and make your insane theories as to what potentially could be coming from Legends CA. Remember, we have a game to base off of, not just one, but multiple, because of how heavily connected most of these titles are. Gen 5 is heavily connected to Gen 6. You'd be surprised when you look at some of the stuff that is mentioned in Kalos region. So there is more to it than what meets the eye. And if personally, if they did release Black and White remake or whatever it is in this year, they could do something in it to kind of coincide with it as well.
That's one thing that I was actually discussing with our friends. Like the biggest twist would not be a Unova, like besides Kalos, right? The biggest twist for Unova would not be a Legends or a sequel. It would actually be a midquel in the year between Black and White and Black and White 2. So you see the region going through changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like for all that would be cool. Like imagine in a Unova midquel, Iris is your rival, and that's how she becomes champion, right? It's like a Blue or Trace or How moment where you have to fight for the title and then you resign from it.
Exactly.
Honestly, having Iris as a rival, like in terms of game plot, that would be kind of cool. Like her and Alder's grandson Benga, that would be amazing. Now I know. Damn, now I want a Unova midquel.
And we'll save that for when that time comes. But for now, let's go ahead and wrap things up for tonight, why don't we? So I want to thank everybody once again for tuning into tonight's video. Make sure if you have yet to do so, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And of course, make sure to go follow my good friend over here, Kuro, for more on his side of the analysis in upcoming stuff, as well as his other videos that he has out on his channel. So do take a look at that too. My name is KJ Prestige. Thank you all so very much for tuning in here today. And we'll talk with all of you lovelies later in whatever video we make. Take care, everyone. And as always, do me a solid and have yourselves an awesome day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.